Green Avenger. We don't want to see that. That's not gonna work. Cap is gone. Iron Man's gone. Black Panther's gone. Thor's trash. It's done, bro. Welcome to DCRises. This is Rises episode 9. What's up with y'all? How y'all doing? I'm Jody Joe. It's Wednesday. It's the 2nd of the month. All right, let's go ahead and start off with Blue Beetle. There's like a lot of confusion of rather if Blue Beetle will be in the DCU or is it part of the DCEU. As you guys may or may not know, Blue Beetle is about to come out this month in August. The projections of that movie are very low. They're historically low. They're like Flash levels low, even lower than the Flash. So it's like, I don't think that nobody's going to watch Blue Beetle. Honestly, it looks like a HBO Max movie. In fact, it was developed and created from the ground up for HBO Max. Then they decided to say, oh, all right, let's send this thing to theaters and see how good it does. Let's see how much money we can make off this thing. Let's milk it for all the money we got after we had to let Batgirl just go on the shelf because it was so trash. Blue Beetle. I think a lot of people are just hip to that. A lot of people know what's up. A lot of people know that you can't just pull the wool over our eyes, and they see what Blue Beetle looks like, and I don't think a lot of people are going to show up to the theater to see it. I'm proud that it's a Hispanic film. I'm proud that there's a lot of Hispanic actors in there, minus George Lopez, but I got to call a spade, man. Blue Beetle looks trash, bro. Like, it looks like it's going to be an HBO Max type of film with a lot of jokes and a couple of action scenes like a Power Rangers movie, but I don't think that's going to push the DCU forward in any way. Speaking of DCU, I need you guys to know that Blue Beetle is not a DCU film. Blue Beetle that's coming out this month is not the DCU. The DCU doesn't start until 2025 when Superman Legacy comes out. The DCEU is dead. It's done. And the last film of the DCEU will be Aquaman 2. So Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2 are DCEU. That's like Snyderverse era, Hamadaverse era stuff that just didn't work, right? Stuff that was not working. All of that's about to be done and gone away with after this year. So Blue Beetle is a DCEU property that's going to be gone. But the actor, the character, Blue Beetle, is very much in like a transitional hybrid state. He's in like stasis, bro. He's in like, you could like phase through him and shit, like flash vibrating. He could go either way. And what I mean by going either way is the actor himself basically could tell you better than I can. So here is Holo Marduena. It's hard to say his name. He's the lead actor who plays Blue Beetle. He says, I've had the pleasure of getting to speak to Mr. James Gunn and the whole DC fam. At the end of the day, we have to cross this first hill and introduce Jaime to the world, but it's up to the audience to watch the movie. If it does well, we get to open more doors for more Blue Beetles. It's right there. Basically, they're leaving this up. Basically, they told him, and what he got from it is, yo, listen, man, if motherfuckers don't see your movie, bro, and they don't make no money, say goodbye to Blue Beetle, bro. It's a wrap. And looking at the box office predictions, looking at the hype and the way people feel about Blue Beetle, it don't look good, bro. I will be seeing Blue Beetle. I'm going to be paying my ticket price, and I ask you guys to see it because I want you guys to support, ethnic movies that actually have ethnic heroes in it, not just because it's woke or PC. Blue Beetle is a Hispanic character, and we need more freaking diversity up in the superhero genre. Not that forced BS that they try to do over at Marvel, the real stuff. So I promote Blue Beetle. But if it's bad, and when I review this hoe, I'm going to go all the way 100% on this bad boy. I ain't holding back a lick. But I do think people should see Blue Beetle. Judging by the stuff that we've heard, Blue Beetle's not going to make money. Blue Beetle will probably be a flop. Blue Beetle would probably it'll be lucky to get worldwide 250, 300 million. That's just how I feel about it. Worldwide at the end of the run. So with that being said, I'm going to predict that Blue Beetle is not going to be a DCU character. I'm going to predict that we will not see Blue Beetle because James Gunn has to make the decision. If Blue Beetle flops, then James Gunn has to make the decision. Okay, do I muddy up my DCU by keeping him from the DCEU and bringing him in with his flop movie and then muddying up my fresh, clean start with no stains on it? It ain't worth it, bro. So if I'm James, if that movie doesn't perform well, really well, you're out of here, bro. You, your auntie, your uncle, the whole movie gone. Because I'm not trying to muddy up my fresh start to my DCU by bringing over a DCEU character that was just introduced that nobody likes. Like, I understand you making a case for Henry Cavill, Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, obviously, because they have fan bases. But Blue Beetle, who just is showing up at the end of the run when it's about to die? Nah. You got to do exceptionally well to even make it over here. And Blue Beetle's not. That's just what it's not going to be. So if you want to see Blue Beetle, you should go see it in theaters this month, because I think it's the last time you're going to see Blue Beetle in theaters. That's just me keeping it a buck. On to the next piece of news. So this is good. James Gunn confirms that there will be theatrical releases for DC animated movies moving forward in the DCU. Can you believe that? Like, there was a scene where there was a scenario where James Gunn was chilling on Threads and somebody asked him, like, yo, bro, are we going to be able to see theatrical releases in some of these DC animated movies? Because he asked about Crisis on Infinite Earths, the animated film that's coming out. And James was like, yo, that has no relevance to the DCU. Like, that shit is. So he was like, okay, so will we have DC animated film theatrical releases? And James Gunn responded, yes. Imagine if Batman Red Hood was put in theaters, bro, and we didn't have to see that at home video. Imagine if Batman Superman Apocalypse was put in theaters, bro, because Batman and Superman Apocalypse tied to Man of Steel some way. And in order to understand, you watch Batman Superman Apocalypse in theaters after you watch Man of Steel to get the opening picture to what was going to happen in BVS. Imagine that, bro. That is fire. Imagine seeing Batman Year One in theaters because Batman Year One was going to tie to The Batman, and those tied together. But this is the stuff that I'm talking about. This is why DC rises, baby, because once again, I'm going to give credit to Marvel. I'm a Marvel fan too. Shout out to the MCU in its heyday. Phase 1, Phase 2, part of Phase 3. That's the heyday of Marvel, baby. Feige did that. They interconnected the movies and they made them make sense. That's what we're about to do in the DCU. The MCU had phases, Phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the DCU are going to use chapters. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. That's how we doing it. And I appreciate that and I love that. Imagine for the future of the DCU, we're going to have like Superman movie and we might have like a Jimmy Olsen or Lois Lane Adventures animated movie with Superman in it. And the person who plays Superman in the animated movie is also being voiced by the Superman in live action, David Cornswet. And the Lois in that movie is also being played by Rachel Brosnahan, who plays Lois Lane in the Superman Legacy movie. All of those voices are the same, tied into the animated movies in theaters, seeing an animated movie that tied to Superman Legacy, a Green Lantern animated film that ties to the Lanterns. Are you feeling what I'm saying? Basically, kind of what the MCU has tried but failed to do with the MCU on Disney Plus, with those mediocre trash Disney Plus shows. Looking at you, She-Hulk. Looking at you, WandaVision. Looking at you, Secret Invasion. Looking at you, Hawkeye. Looking at you, Ghost Man, Moon Knight. Shit, that's like all the freaking shit's all trash. But doing it the right way. Because nobody could refute, argue, lobby against, deny, discredit this fact that DCU animated movies are the best on the planet. MCU can't touch them. DC does the animated movies right, and it's just been that way for over 10 years, 15 years. So now we're going to get that type of shit in theaters, tying into the DCU. Sign me up. That's what I'm talking about. DC rises, baby. On to the next piece of news. Oh, I got to talk about this. All right, there's a disclaimer I got to give you guys. So I have watched My Adventures with Superman. I've watched episode 1, and I didn't like it. I watched episode 2. I further didn't like it. And certain people of the Jody's Corner crew that you guys know, they have finished My Adventures with Superman, and this series is being reacted to on Patreon right now. I will not be releasing those reactions on YouTube because I do not want to hear fanboys complain how I don't like the series. I don't like the series, and if you're on Patreon, you will know why I don't like the series, because that's where the reactions exist. Okay, now that we've gotten that out the way about how I feel about My Adventures with Superman, we need to say something here. My Adventures with Superman was created during the AT&T regime. You remember that the AT&T regime? Jason Kilar putting everything to HBO Max, releasing the Snyder Cut. You know that trash back in 2020 during the pandemic global phenomenon? Yeah, that's when My Adventures of Superman was created. They got 2 seasons that were done before James Gunn's era, and they're promoting it like, oh, James Gunn didn't interfere with us. Let me be clear. My Adventures with Superman is not a DCU property. It is not a DCU product. It is non-canon. There will be a Superman animated something coming in the future, and that will be DC animated canon, DCU. This was made in a different regime. My Adventures with Superman is a piece of the past, just like the Snyderverse, and that's about to get wiped in 2025, just to let you guys know. So they started to talk about how they felt about Superman. And it says, we started well before any of that James Gunn era DCU stuff took place. We were still with AT&T, the previous owners of Warner Media. I've been pleased that the new regime, James Gunn and Peter Safran, never got in our way creatively, and they let us do our thing. There was no interference and no need for approval on certain things. This person says, I've loved Superman my whole life. We came to making the show out of conversation with Brendan Clogger, and I had while directing at Nickelodeon. Oh, Nickelodeon. He was talking about superhero fatigue. Oh, wow. Who do we still care about with all these movies and properties and newly minted heroes every day? Superman was still great, and we realized we loved him for the same reasons. We loved Clark and Lois romance, the awkward Clark Kent, the hope and the optimism, and almost that cringe earnestness of Superman. Nice. Very, very, very nice. This is them trying to try to get season 3, season 4, move on, being brought over into the DCU. But let me tell you 100%, just because James Gunn didn't refute anything like that, which it wouldn't be proper for him to, since he just really got into his position of power within the last few months, doesn't mean that he's actually going to bring your product over to the DCU. Because canonically, if we're talking about the canon, the origin of this Superman in My Adventures with Superman will not be the same origin that is in Superman Legacy. For those reasons, it contradicts and it ain't canon. I want you guys to know you can enjoy My Adventures with Superman. You really can, and I hope that you do. But don't get it twisted. That ain't Superman. There's some elements of Superman. There's parts of him there, yeah, but that ain't Superman. On to some other news. I gotta talk with y'all, bro. DCRises, yes, but we got to talk about the DCEU real quick. And in talking about the DCEU real quick, we got to talk about the MCU, bro. Hey, like the DCEU that has given too much trash product, that has divided fan bases over a decade, bro. The DCEU that has been ridiculed and have put mediocre films out, also have put out some good films, also have put out some great films. Just like that DCEU, that is exactly where the MCU is right now, bro. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. This phase 4, this phase 5, and I'm looking at phase 6, and it don't look no better, bro. I don't think the MCU is going to be right or get the ship right until phase 7 if they do what they're doing right now with DC. The MCU needs a reboot, ladies and gentlemen. The MCU is dead. It is in dead waters, dying fish floating, just dead. Oh, and she dead. The riptide's taking it. It's dead. It ain't moving, bro. It's done. There is not a single great series on Disney Plus. That includes Star Wars 2. But I ain't gonna talk about Star Wars right now. We gonna talk about Marvel MCU. Bro, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my favorite. And even though it's being my favorite, it still is not a great series. WandaVision, mid. Falcon and Winter Soldier, good, not great. The best that they have, for me, yes. Loki, mid. Not good, not bad, mid. Hawkeye, utter garbage. That's the worst one, bro. Moon Knight, filth. She-Hulk, disgusting. And then when there was like no hope left, I still gave this series a chance. Like, I was hyped for it in the first trailer. In the second trailer, I said, this looks kind of weak, bro. But then I was showed up for day 1 at midnight for Secret Invasion. I saw that first episode, and I have a power. I want to let you guys know about my mutant power. I have a special power that allows me to see one episode of a season, and I can tell if it's trash or not. That's my mutant power. I'm trash. I get it. But it's still a mutant power nonetheless. So I saw episode 1 of Secret Invasion. I said, this is boring. This is bullshit. This is what they brought Nick Fury for. They're about to destroy his character. I don't want to see it. I'm gone. And I only watched 1 episode, and I didn't look back. People in the comments of that was like, Jody, yeah, you're gonna watch one episode and you don't even know nothing. You're being like giving it a chance. Yeah, why don't you say yeah? Just because you need to see a whole entire series before you could cast judgment on it, don't mean that that same thing applies to me. I told you I got superpowers. Don't question my ability. You don't have this ability. I do. And because I have it, that's it. So this power that allows me to see ahead of the curve a little bit lets me know that Secret Invasion is trash. Now the Secret Invasion is done with. Now all you motherfuckers who say this is going to be the greatest show ever, how you feel now? Because if we look at Rotten Tomatoes, your Lord and Savior, matter of fact, let's do that right now. Secret Invasion episode 6 has a 7% rating. 7.
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no.
Thank you, Bishop. A 7% tomato reading, which is like, that's like historically bad. I think that's the worst rating for anything ever MCU. It has to be, right? That's worse than BVS. Every bad movie you ever seen, I think that beats it. So we've seen the Lord and Savior of the general audience who go to Rotten Tomatoes and they go with their opinion. So since that's your Lord and Savior for movies, you have to ride with that too. You ride with it, you die with it. 7% Rotten Tomato score. People hate it. It's trash and it's garbage. And some of the things that I've seen, spoiler alert if you don't want to be spoiled on this trash show, which I don't know why you wouldn't care. Nick Fury was in love with a Skrull and his wife was a Skrull. She was a black Skrull because she turned black, like he's black, so that was cool. And before he kissed that black woman, he made sure that she turned into an alien Skrull before he kissed her. Nick Fury is a cuck, bitch made, sucker, simp, freak, nasty motherfucking reptilian loving sicko, and he's trash, bro. I seen super mother of dragons, queen of the unbat. I just seen Khaleesi turn into Thanos, into Captain Marvel, into Mantis. She basically has all of the powers of all of the OP Avengers, their DNA, and she's able to embody all their powers. She had a superhuman fight with another super Skrull who has ability that, but you know what? I'm really getting upset just even talking about it. It's trash, right? It's exactly what I thought it would be, and then more. Like, it went further into the garbage can that I thought it would. I thought it would hover around the 25% mark, but that thing dipped down to the bottom of the freaking trash can. You know, where the juice is at. It's swimming in garbage juice at the bottom of the trash bin, bruv. That's what this is. And now that you guys have seen it for yourselves and you see that Disney Plus has made no great shows on for their superhero movies, and they have fallen from grace. And we look at the MCU, right? That's where the quality is supposed to take a big leap forward, right? We look at the MCU, and we see that the MCU's almost just as bad. Because you look at Wakanda Forever, huge mid-disappointment bullshit. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I like it. Most of y'all don't. Eternals, I like it. Most of y'all hate Eternals. We look at films like Guardians 3, which is the most mid of the Guardians movies. It's the worst of the Guardians movies. And I think Guardians 3 is just okay. I think it's just okay. It is not better than Guardians 2. It's not better than Guardians 1. I think Guardians 2 had the heart, emotion, and love and passion that I think Guardians 2 is the best. And then Guardians 1, and then Guardians 3. It is an okay movie that the MCU fanboys boosted to the heavens, calling it the greatest MCU movie since Endgame, because it's basically they were starving. And you threw some old 5-day-old salmon at them and they said, the salmon is delicious. Where did you get this from? Oh my God. You're just starving and the food tastes extra better than it actually is. That's the situation that is going on with Guardians 3. Then we have Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which is more mid bullshit, right? Oh, how can I forget the worst movie ever made? Thor: Love and Trash. That is the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. I guarantee you, when I tell you I'd rather watch Elektra than Thor: Love and Trash, I mean that shit. When I tell you I'd rather watch Catwoman, my nigga, I ain't talking about Batman Returns, Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm talking about Halle Berry. I'm talking about that one, bro. I'd rather watch the Black Catwoman before I watch Thor: Love and Trash, because at least those other movies made a little bit of sense. There's no sense, no logic, no brain in Thor: Love and Trash. And it basically says Thor: Love and Trash is telling the viewer, it's telling you that you're stupid and you're gonna like this no matter what. That's what it says, because you didn't put no life and effort into that shit. Taika Waititi made millions of dollars off making one of the worst movies ever made. And he knew that while doing it. He said in Ragnarok, I didn't really read any comic book. I read like the little thin one, like a few pages, and then I threw it away. I said, we're not doing that. Anybody that takes this type of approach when making a superhero movie does not have my respect. Do not have my respect. And I tried to tell you guys, Thor: Love and Trash is going to be garbage. That's my mutant power. And then it turned into what it was. So we're looking at these phases, and I'm looking at the MCU, and the MCU is really, really bad. It's dead, bro. The MCU is done. And there's no, I honestly believe that Kevin Feige should deserve a second chance to right the ship, to fix it. And I still believe in Kevin Feige. I know he has the ability, but he's letting these woke and PC propaganda, this feminazi movement that he's been freaking genjutsu'd with. Like, he's been genjutsu'd by Itachi and Sasuke, bro. Like, combined. Itachi in one eye, Sasuke in the other. Mind gone. He's a zombie right now. But he's starting to break his genjutsu. Break! With some extra, So he's breaking the genjutsu, I believe, because he's fired Victoria Alonso, and there's other things that he said that alluded to him wanting to right the ship. So those decisions that Kevin Feige has made in breaking his genjutsu, that happened in 2023. But there's stuff that's already ready to go in 2025. So that means that he will not be able to institute the changes he's making now into an actual movie until at least the very soonest 2027. Now, 2027 only exists before the writer's strike. Each month the writer's strike goes on, you could probably tack on another month and a half or 2 months in actual time that Feige can make his fix. So if the writer's strike lasts 6 months, that's probably going to delay Feige's plans a year. So that means 2028 is probably the earliest that we'll be able to see Phase 7, bringing the X-Men in, fixing the ship, righting the wrongs. And since you're going to be doing something like that, it's reboot this. Like, that world ended after Phase 6, and we're rebooting into another universe. That was the Avengers universe. I believe that Feige needs to delve into the X-Men. And when I say delve into the X-Men, don't get this twisted. I'm not talking about releasing 1 or 2 or 3 X-Men movies over a 5-year period. No. I'm talking about delving into the X-Men as a universe. You see how they created the Avengers? That's what they need to do with the X-Men. We need origin stories for a lot of these characters, and we just need a team up as well. You can need to release a team up movie and then do origin stories for these motherfreakers, bro. Then you need to open the universe and tie to what it means to be a mutant, how society exists in dealing with mutants, delving all of those universal characters. I'm talking about from Gladiator to Mr. Sinister to freaking Apocalypse to Jubilee to Gambit to Rogue. All of these different characters, Archangel, Morph, Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey, Beast, Professor X, Magneto, do an origin with Magneto and freaking Professor X, all of that over expanding a universe. I'm talking about 20 to 30 films of strictly X-Men with little bitty speckles of Avenger-based movies where they show up into the X-Men universe. It's not the X-Men showing up into an Avengers universe. That's the number one problem. The Avengers are done, and we're milking it like there's life. Like, we want to see all female versions of the Avengers and these teen Avengers. We don't want to see that. That's not going to work. Cap is gone. Iron Man's gone. Black Panther's gone. Thor's trash. Doctor Strange got a wife. It's done, bro. It's done. The Avengers are done. We need to stop with making Avengers movies. And we need to make them X-Men movies. X-Men Apocalypse Now. The movie, build up to that. 5 movies that builds up to a X-Men Apocalypse. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Sinister's quest, the Sinister Tales. You know what I'm saying? That's how we need to do it, bro. We need to stop looking at like X-Men in Avengers movies and start looking at X-Men universe with Avengers coming into their universe, bro. That's what we need. The X-Men have the ability, and they have the longevity and the expanded universe to do it. X-Men is a bigger universe than the Avengers universe, bro. We was reading X-Men comics, not Avengers comics. Let me remind you as a 1990s comic book reader, bro. Avengers movies was getting discounted. People wasn't reading the Avengers like they was reading X-Men, bro. Uncanny X-Men was where it was at. I was reading the Hulk comics, Wolverine independent comics, bro. Wasn't nobody really reading Avengers like that. You had to really be a Marvel guy that wanted everything to really get into Avengers. You rather read a Captain America, not even Captain America, an Iron Man, not even an Iron Man. Those was like off the beaten path. You was really reading Wolverine or Hulk and some Thor, bro, if you wanted to get that Avengers feel. And then when you read an Avengers comic, you'd be like, oh, here's Thor, here's Wolverine. You'll be like that. The X-Men versus the Avengers is a huge book about this big, bro. Like, it's a serious thing. The reboot needs to happen, bro. Like, the DCU is rebooting. The MCU is going to be about So the DCU reboots in 2025, right? We're online to reboot in 2025. If the MCU could reboot by 2028, that means that the DCU will have a 3-year head start, kind of like the MCU had a head start on the DCEU. When Zack Snyder was making these medieval, non-tied-in freaking throw stuff at the wall movies, the MCU was kicking his brains in with Civil Wars and Iron Man 1s, and it was crazy. We have the ability in the DCU to do that now. And if the MCU is trying to compete with the DCU under James Gunn and Peter Safran, with this, they will lose. X-Men or not. You could bring in an X-Men movie and people will love it. I'll praise it. But your overall universe is still gonna be mid. Unless you change it all, you're not gonna be able to compete. That's my take on it. Remember, I said DCU over the MCU by 2025, and it's already done. Like, we just got to get to 2025 at this point. That's DCRises number 10 in the bag. Thank you guys so very much for watching. If you feel triggered by some of my opinions, I invite you to subscribe, because you will find that I am all knowledgeable. I have a mutant power. Come and get some of this knowledge, baby. All right, man. Shout out to y'all, man. Make sure y'all look at Not Just Anime. NotJustAnime.com is out. In fact, here's a little clip of NotJustAnime.com. Y'all like those Genji references? Check this out. NotJustAnime.com is here. Yeah. Go to NotJustAnime.com. Click any video that you want, and boom, you're going to see a page to authenticate through Patreon. Click the Patreon authentication, and that's it. You're in. Hundreds of videos of anime content to come. Some of these videos are like an hour long. Some of them 2 hours long. Only way to find out is go to NotJustAnime.com. You get access to our special Discord server, NotJustAnime.com. Thank you guys so very much for watching DCRises number 10. I'm Jody Joe, and I'm out this thing. Deuces.
In the beginning, it's like I had to take a leap of faith. It was me in front of the camera. And I did have to take a leap of faith.